Hey y'all, we're going to talk briefly. This is going to be a very short video. We're going to talk briefly about what you need to do this week. I have our to-do list for week 5 on our LMS page. And you can see I've kind of laid it out as a to-do list where you want to, not necessarily, you don't have to do these things in this order, but I put them in the order that made the most sense to me. You'll want to read over the They Say, I Say PDF. You just need to read part 1. I have given you guys the whole entire book. It is a PDF copy of a book that I have at home, and I have put the entire book on our website because this book has got some incredibly helpful templates in it, and I want you to have access to, and I want you to make use of those templates because those templates will improve your writing. Also, as you continue to write, those templates are like kind of like training wheels, and they can really help you get from less good writing to really good writing, and you can then take the training wheels off and not have to use the templates. So I've put the whole book there so that you can have access to the text itself that explains a lot of this stuff, but also the templates that are throughout, as well as at the very back of the book. I've also posted a document that has a set of the templates that are some of the more commonly used in my experience. And you can make use of any of these in your essay for me and in anywhere else you want to use them, because they only become plagiarism if you copy from someone else their own original ideas that you put into the templates. The templates themselves cannot be plagiarized, so please don't sweat that. These templates are yours to use in any essay that you write. We're going to go over the argumentative research essay assignment sheet. You are doing the next thing that's on the list, the weekly video. Let's see, the discussion board, I have not set that up yet, but I will before you see this. And then we've got the quiz that covers the weekly reading and this lecture. Your annotated bib is due on the 23rd. I know that there were some questions about the due dates being off, and as I said in an earlier video, frequently, and I start the semester by putting everything on paper, and then in transferring it from the paper to the LMS, sometimes things go awry, and that was the case here. So your annotated bib is due on the 23rd, and this argumentative essay is due on 3/5, which is not week 6, but is the next week. And that is the end of the class. Before I go any further, though, I do want to point out something that's here, which is your second chance essay. I know that I'm behind in your grading, and I apologize. I will fix that this weekend. That is my main thing that I'm going to do. But if you decide that you don't like any of the grades on the essays or the annotated bibliography or anything else, these are the things that you can do to get a new and better, more than likely better grade. It certainly will not make your grade lower. This is optional. You don't have to do this. I will happily look at what you submit and regrade the essay and likely bump it up. Because it will improve as a result. But you'll need to meet with someone in the Writing Center for feedback, provide me with the proof that you met with the Writing Center, and that can be in an email or their comments on your essay, whatever. Write a brief revision plan in which you let me know what you are going to change in your essay and why. And when revision plan sounds a lot fancier than it really is. By revision plan, I mean like essentially the online equivalent of a sticky note. What are you going to change in your essay? Why did you decide that was a good idea? So if you submit those things, then I will regrade that essay. But you don't have to do this. If you're happy with your grade, or if you just don't have time to do this, or whatever, then you don't. This is not this is not an assignment. Goodness, it is just optional. So let's get back to what we're doing now. Okay, so let's start with the assignment sheet. Now, first of all, this assignment sheet has got some of the worst writing in it that I have ever seen, and I apologize for that. This first paragraph is such a mess, I don't even know what to say. I really should have revised it before I submitted it to the LMS, but there it is in all its glory. Students must complete an argumentative essay that offers a feasible remedy to an issue each student has chosen in MLA format. I don't even know what to say. I am appalled at myself for not changing this, for not catching this and changing it. This is a dangling modifier. This is the problem with this sentence, is the MLA format part of it. It should say something more along the lines of students must complete an argumentative essay in MLA format that offers a feasible remedy, etc., etc., because the MLA format applies to the argumentative essay and not the feasible remedy. But that's neither here nor there. I just wanted you to know that I apologize for that terrible writing. Okay, so you are going to take this issue that you have been researching all semester, and you are going to write an argumentative essay that is going to be absolutely brilliant. I know that it will. I will be looking specifically at your thesis statement and at the third thing in this list. I don't have a rubric associated with this assignment sheet, but there will be one. There may already be one on the LMS. I honestly can't remember. But the thesis statement is going to be a big part of the points, and the reasoning that you lay out and the evidence that you use to back up that reasoning. And when I say evidence, I mean not necessarily that you have 50 resources that back up your claim, but what you do with that evidence, how you introduce it, how you use it. That might sound like it's like 90% of the paper, but there's a lot more to the paper than just that. But I did want to make it a special point of saying number one, the thesis statement, and number 3 are where I'm really going to be looking as I grade your work. You will need to come up with a quote-unquote fix for your problem. I don't mean that you need to come up with an original fix for your problem. If you are writing about the genocide in Gaza, I'm not asking you to come up with a legitimate original way that we can fix this. But what I am asking you to do is look and see what other people have said, and then make the argument for what you see as the best way to fix the problem that you have encountered and that you're writing about. You will also want to consider your audience, and you will also want to make use of absolutely pristine MLA work, MLA guidelines. You should have in-text citations, and you should have a full works cited page, which will not count towards the page number. It needs to be 4 pages long. Let's see. And there was also, and then in number 4 as well, I wanted to point something out. When you are targeting an audience, you are using the language they expect from people within the discourse community. They are expecting you to speak to them or communicate with them using specific terms or jargon or making specific rhetorical moves. You also need to have a pretty good idea of how they see themselves in order to adequately, quote unquote, target them. But you do need to give some thought to your audience. Okay, so let me know if you have questions about this, and I know that you're going to write some really great essays. Let's move on to Let's move on to our text. This is They Say, I Say, the moves that matter in academic writing. This is a super helpful book, as I have said before. It is one of those books that if you have it as you sit down to write, you will find that your writing is much smoother and makes a whole lot more sense. You will find it much easier to get unstuck when you're stuck, because there are so many places in here, so many situations that they kind of lay out and describe and then work through, that you'll be kind of surprised that you might find something in here that is actually something you've run into and struggled with in the past, and they just really give you all the information you need to kind of knock yourself out of the loop that you're in as you struggle with it. But you only need to read this very first part, part 1, and this deals with quotations and summarizing. So as I said, there are templates, and I'm looking for one to show up. Here we go. All right, so when you use something like this is pretty common language. It has become common today to dismiss fill in the blank. So don't worry about this being plagiarism if you directly use this. You don't have to quote it. You don't have to cite it. Part of the reason is that the authors of the book have created it with the intent that you use these templates as things that you put in your paper and then fill in the blank. So they've sort of given you permission to use this stuff, but also these are, as you read through and look at these, fill in the blank template sentences and sometimes paragraphs, you'll see that they really are not that original. They're just very well put. So please make sure that even if you don't read this super closely, even if you just skim it, make sure that you understand sort of the way that the book works, because it can be a super tool for you in your collegiate career. Now, I did want to talk briefly about quoting, because that is a big part of what you're going to be doing. You're going to be making use of other people's words in your essay. And as you are quoting those relevant passages, those things that are perfectly put, and you could not say them any better, there's no way to say it better than what the author has said, that's when you pull that quote out and use the direct language. You want to keep those quotes as quote directly as rarely as you can, because generally speaking, instructors want to know that you can synthesize the information and that you can take the words and understand them and put them into a conversation with your own ideas, that kind of thing. We're less interested in what these other people have to say and more interested in what you have to say. But then you use those quotes and paraphrases and summaries to shore up your argument and to help us understand your reasoning. Now, you don't want to just plop that quote in the middle of the paper. And when we say plop a quote, we mean just drop that quote in the middle of the paragraph or the page or whatever, and don't do anything other than put them there. Because what I find that what happens for students frequently is they think that the quotations are going to speak for themselves. And sometimes they do. Sometimes it's just clear as a bell. But more often than not, you want to introduce some information that gives us some context about who this person is that's saying the stuff that you think is important enough to back up your own claims with. Who is this person? Why are they an expert? Give us some background there. Let us know kind of what in what situation was this quotation used that makes it so important. So make sure that you've got kind of a scaffolding, or in terms that you may have heard before, make a quotation sandwich, or make a quotation, make a quote burger. You want to make sure that there's some context, some introduction where we get an idea of what's coming. That's the bottom bun. And then the quote itself is the meat. And then the top bun is the place where you analyze the quote and explain as explicitly, as clearly, as concisely as you can why this quote actually does what you say it does. So we've got don't be a hit and run quoter here, make a quotation sandwich. There are all of these different ways that it can be put. I was taught that it's called a plopped quote, and that is it can also be called a dropped quote or a dropped paraphrase. Here is what one of those things looks like. In the new Thor, Jeff Goldblum plays the master of ceremonies, period. That's a complete sentence. And then the quote begins. The worst thing I can say about him is that he's more appealing here than well used. And then we have the citation. Why is this quote here? Who is this person who actually wrote this quote? Why does this back up your claim? There's not really a claim right here. We know that that's his role in this movie if we're familiar with the movie. It's not an arguable point. We can go look this up on IMDb. We can go watch the movie ourselves. There are all manner of ways that we can see that this is true. So if there is no leading up to the quote and then analyzing after, you have got a plopped quote. Additionally, when it comes to quotes like that, please make sure that you don't do the plopped quote, but also that you don't use some of this language that I'm going to show you. Here we go. Here's how not to introduce quotations. Using language like a quote by Shakespeare says, which I've seen students do a lot. A quote by so-and-so says. That's kind of redundant, but it also doesn't make any sense because the quote doesn't speak. The quote is just text. And it wasn't the quote itself that said this. It was Shakespeare that said this or wrote this. So Orwell asserts an idea that, or a quote by Shakespeare says, these are bad ways of introducing quotations. If you make use of the templates in the book, you won't come up with some of those really awkward and just incorrect and bad writing that I just kind of shared with you there. So avoid that at all costs. Plopped quotes and a quote by Shakespeare says, do not do that. That's not cool. Let's see. Here is the document that's on our website it's a PDF, and it's a series of the templates from the text kind of organized without all of the explanation around them. So this can be very helpful as well, kind of as a cheat sheet. So I believe that that is going to do it for our, let me check my notes. Yeah, that's going to do it for what we have to talk about this week. If you have trouble with anything, if you run into problems, please let me know. I am here to help, and I will do my best. I am so looking forward to seeing what you do with this argumentative essay. This is the last assignment, so you want to go out with a bang and no plopped quotes. I know that you can do a good job with this, and I know that it's going to be a super duper essay. So get those argumentative thoughts going and the argumentative writing flowing, and I look forward to reading it. I will see you guys online.